everybody, thanks for coming tonight. I'm John Barry from the Gender Equity Network, and I think some of you were expecting to be seeing Neil Linden talking about men's role as protectors. Unfortunately, Neil's health hasn't been protected very well, but he's unable to come tonight. But we have the good fortune of having Belinda Brown step in at short notice. Belinda was actually preparing a lecture on gender equality schemes that we're hoping to do in Cambridge in a couple of months' time. But she's quickly got things together in order to present it to you here tonight. Now, Belinda, for those who don't know, is a writer for the Daily Mail, a conservative woman, a small c conservative woman, and also a publisher of some very well-cited papers at UCL. So, without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Belinda talking about Athena Swan and gender equality.
Good evening, and thank you very much for coming. Sorry, I'm not being Lipton, but anyway, it should be okay. Okay, so it's do gender equality policies for meritocracy is what we should have. And sorry, I'm just getting to grips with this. Basically, this is the Gender Equity Network strapline sort of thing. If it's unequal, is it unfair? It was set up with John Barry and my husband Jeff Dench. And really, we're trying to look at this question of inequality and fairness and the possibility that, you know, something can be unequal, but it can still be fair. So that's the details. Now, I kind of feel a little bit as if I'm putting my head above the parapet in this week when they've been discussing in Parliament how to increase diversity in STEM subjects. And we're hearing all the time from the Spike survey how universities are clamping down on freedom of speech. So I'm setting out to prove that this is really not true, and I'm challenging ideas about equality of opportunity. So I think if we can do that, we can be fairly sure that, you know, freedom of speech is still alive and well. Now, I'd like to talk about meritocracy. Meritocracy, the word was actually coined by Michael Young in 1958 with his book, The Rise of the Meritocracy, but actually that idea that of a system which rewards work and hard work and merit is a good way to do things. That's been around for a long time among sociologists like, for example, Durkheim. He thought society would only function harmoniously if social positions were allocated strictly on the basis of merit. You know, you can criticise the idea, but basically it's quite a sensible one. And I'm identifying three characteristics which I think are very important for having a healthily functioning meritocracy. One is having a level playing field. Another one is having as wide a possible pool of talent which you're recruiting from. And the third one, and I think this is very important, this is what Michael Young discussed in his book, The Rise of the Meritocracy. He saw merit as being intelligence plus effort. And I think that this effort tends to get very much missed out of the equation. We think, well, we just need these intelligent individuals. Well, that's not enough. We also need to have a system which enables us to put in a lot of effort. And by effort, I don't only mean hard work. I mean, I think you know, here's someone who probably epitomises merit, Einstein, and he said genius is 5% inspiration, 95% perspiration. So I think he had a good grasp of this. Effort, your ability to focus, concentrate, devote yourself to a topic, or whatever you're doing, not necessarily a topic, I'm just happen to be, is really important to achieving merit. But in contemporary society, we tend very much to focus on the idea of having as wide a possible pool of talent. So, for example, the Royal Society definition, I'll just read that. The Royal Society fosters excellence in science, but this can only be achieved if we select from the widest range of talent And that's not possible if unconscious bias is narrowing down the field for non-scientific reasons. And you can find that sort of quote in lots of different places. So, yeah, that's the current focus. Now, Athena, hold on. Sorry, I'm trying to get, I don't have so much of that. Okay, Athena Swan. So, how does Athena Swan fit into all of this? Athena Swan is a sort of charter of a charity called the Equality Challenge Unit. The Equality Challenge Unit has been set up to advance equality and diversity in universities and colleges. And the Athena Swan Charter within this has been, the idea is to promote the role of women who are very underrepresented in senior roles in academia. And it's funded by the Equality Challenge Unit is funded by higher education bodies, and also you have to pay to get your Athena Swan Charter, so it's also funded by universities when they apply for their Athena Swan membership. Now, I'd like to look at where Athena Swan fits in to, sorry, I'm really not very good at this.
It's the big one near the bottom.
I swear it keeps changing which one it is. Excuse me. I have Will Collins to thank for this sort of way of, I've got the diagram, but this way of conceptualising it. So this diagram represents education, let's say education in this country. And so, the bottom part is schools, a whole chunk of people. The top part, that's higher education. And then on this side, we have our pupils and our students, and then we have our staff. And, okay, we don't need to worry too much about gender equality, by which we mean female equality here, because we've got, I think it's, girls get 73% of GCSE grade C or above, boys get 65%. Girls are 35% more likely to go to university. I think they have, they're various different statistics, which I have got on a piece of paper, but I won't go into too much here. Staff-wise, 86% of primary school teachers are women, 62% of secondary school teachers are women, so we don't have a gender equality problem here from our authority's point of view. Higher education, we've got 57% of first years at university are female, and then these statistics are on staff. I've just taken this from UCL. It's probably fairly representative. It might have a slightly higher representation of women maybe than other places, but this is UCL. So admin is 63% women. The NHS-linked parts of UCL, which is quite big, is 87% women. Teaching is 48% women. We're a little bit getting down there. And research is 50% women, so just half women. But here's the real problem. The real problem is in academia, what they call academia. I mean, I think of a lot of that as academia, but by that they mean the lecturers, senior lecturers, readers, professors. And the number of women really falls down, despite our predominance everywhere else. So that little triangle at the top is what Athena Swan is dealing with. And the problem is that women tend to leave academia after their PhD or their postdoc research. So it's called the leaky pipeline. It's known as the leaky pipeline. It's known to be to do with women's it's seen to be to do with women's interest in family, prioritisation of family. And here's a graph. To do this research, I just had a look at, say, 6 silver Athena Swan applications, and I've just got various bits of data. You can find these sorts of graphs in all the applications. So this is a kind of statistical representation. The men are in black, the women are white, and as you can see, when it comes to research associates, we've got a good representation of women, and it gradually gets less and less till we get to the professors, where it's very few women. And this is what Athena Swan is trying to tackle. So their focus is very much on increasing the pool of talent. Now, a key issue in all of this is that in order to get funding, you need to, this is well, I'll just read this out, okay? This is Dame Sally Davis. When we next run the competition for NIHR, National Institute of Health Research funding, we do not expect to shortlist any NHS university partnership where the academic partner has not achieved at least the silver award of the Athena Swan Charter as a condition for shortlisting for the next funding round. So that will come into practice, sorry not to be looking at you, I'm just trying, that will come into practice in 2017. And it's not just the National Institute for Health Research, there's biochemical research unit. Also, if you look at Research Councils UK covers all the other major funding bodies that aren't covered here. If we look at them, the statement sets out RC UK's expectations and provides suggestions for evidence the institutions may wish to use. At this time, RC UK does not require formal accreditation such as Athena Swan for grant funding. However, we will be reviewing and may consider such measures if there's no evidence of improvement. Basically, pretty shortly, you're going to need to have your Athena Swan silver medal if you want to get funding. And that's why there's a lot of pressure and a lot of activity in universities to try to get this. It's quite a big thing. And I was quite amused when I was looking, so I looked through 6. Apparently I'm not supposed to use the word random because that means something in the colloquial sense, random. I looked through 6 random application forms, and when I was doing this research, here's one thing I found. We are proud of our Athena Swan Silver Award and display it in the main departmental display case alongside Lord Ramsay's Nobel Prize. I mean, this is the kind of clout these guys have got. People are afraid of Athena Swan, and a good example of this, I don't know if you followed the story when it was International Men's Day. York University wanted to support International Men's Day, and they made some announcement or something like that. There was then a letter by 200 feminists saying that this was out of order, and the diversity, whatever, Equality and Diversity Committee of York University, who'd originally suggested celebrating Men's Day, quickly retracted this proposal. And in their letter, I'll just read you their letter because this is key. If you want to know why York University didn't have International Men's Day, I'll just read you this. Okay. The Equality and Diversity Committee is clear that the main focus of gender equality work should continue to be on the inequalities faced by women, in particular the underrepresentation of women in the professoriate and senior management. We believe that we can make meaningful progress in addressing these issues while at the same time addressing other aspects of the equality and diversity agenda. To this end, we are putting in place new structures to extend and strengthen our approach to Athena Swan Awards, which provides a framework for our work on gender equality. These guys got a hard time for withdrawing their application for International Men's Day, but they knew that if they didn't, there was a risk that they would affect their access to the Athena Swan Silver Award. So they withdrew it. So this is, and the other thing that you need to realise is that we've got mission creep here. So I think it started up in about 2004. It was science, engineering, and technology. Then it became science, technology, engineering, maths, and medicine. I'm really sorry, I missed out an M. It should have 2 M's at the end. And then, I'm not quite sure if they've got the letters quite in that order, but it's business, arts, humanities, law, social science. So they're now extending it, they're kind of extending their boundaries to include ever more subjects. And just remember that first year UK students are 57% female. Okay. So, but, let's not, there is a point in all of this. Now, there was a piece of research done, it was called, a report, it was called the Chemistry PhD, and it was trying to find out why people left academia. And, and basically, I think it was, I can't remember exactly whether it was after the PhD or after their degree, only 12% of women wanted to stay and 21% of men wanted to stay. And there's lots of reasons for this, which I'm not going to go into right now, but they did conclude, this is universities will not survive as research institutions unless university leadership realises that the working conditions they offer dramatically reduce the size of the pool from which they recruit. We will not survive because we have no reason to believe we are attracting the best and the brightest. When industry is the more attractive employer, our credibility as the home of long-term, cutting-edge, high-risk, profoundly creative research is diminished. So we do have a problem with keeping people, and I actually think that Athena Swan does do quite a lot of quite nice, positive, stuff when I'm reading it. So there's like networks and coffee mornings. There's something called UCL Women Engineers. I suspect that would exist regardless of Athena Swan. There are various social events. There are early careers networks. There's bridging funding, so you can move from sort of postdoc to lecturer or whatever it is. And there are lots of ways in which I think that there is a lot of positive stuff possibly happening as a result of Athena Swan, and some of this stuff may affect men as well as women. So, I don't want to knock it completely, and it's particularly, these pictures look better on the laptop screen, they get a bit blurry when they're blown up, but particularly in terms of family-friendly policies. I mean, the family-friendly side of things is really kind of the massive thing in the whole of the Athena Swan thing. For example, there's it's called the self-assessment team, and it has to be on that self-assessment team, you basically, at least half of those people have to have children. They have to have children who they look after a lot of the time. It's actually a qualification to be active on Athena Swan, is that you have kids, that you're working part-time, that you're doing flexible employment, that you're going on the school run, that you're doing the core hours. And I do actually think that it is where we are getting to a point, it is sort of working towards creating universities as a place where if you want to be someone who does want to, your family life is actually really important to you. You're not massively, massively ambitious, but you want to do something interesting while looking after your family. What Athena Swan's doing may help to facilitate that. And from that point of view, I think that it possibly could help to keep people by making it such a family. It would help to keep me, although it didn't, but, help to make it a really family-friendly place. I think, I think this is important. Not many jobs where you can come after you've dropped your kid off from school, have your meetings, your social meetings at lunchtime, and leave in time to collect your child, do a lot of your work from home, and when you have your kid, you can even have meetings. Your students will come to your house sometimes to have meetings. I mean, it's really quite, it's really very supportive of family. And this has come out in various surveys which they've conducted. So that's a survey, and it has the potential to increase the pool of talent through family-friendly workplaces. I think it has, it could have that potential. So, there is a positive thing. But I think that this is, at the same time, it's what's happening to the level playing field. And we need to look very carefully at, this is what I think is being compromised, is this level playing field. And I'm going to explain why. So we've got two things. We've got positive action. Positive action is kind of okay, So, for example, employers can encourage job applications from underrepresented groups by the use of positive action statements in job ads. It's UCL policy to do this. If two people are equally good, you can give the job to the person from the less well-represented group, but they do have to be equally good. You can also mentor a group under a very specific set of circumstances. The justification is based on the proportionate principle, how serious the inequality is and how important the need is. And what I suspect is that nobody actually really takes very seriously this last proportionate principle. How serious is the inequality? How serious is the need? I'm not sure this is properly looked at. But what I would argue is that, if we go back to the two hands, the Athena Swan Silver Award Charter, the fact that you have to get this award in order to get your funding massively compromises the extent to which you're sort of legitimately doing positive action. Because to get this award, you have to show, and they emphasise this, impact, impact, impact. This is their words. Impact means it's not enough just to show you're doing your unconscious bias training, or you're having 50-50 recruitment panels, you're allowing for your core hours, you're putting women on your websites, you know, you're doing all the fluffy stuff that you're supposed to do. You actually have to show that you are getting women into those senior positions. And this is where I think the problems start to arise. And the level playing field has become slanted in one direction. Now, this is again, you know, and I can pick any number of these graphs. These are postgraduate students. And as you can see, it's mainly female. They're mainly female, yeah? The females are white, males are black. And, yeah, look, read the policies. So you've got a minority of men, but read the policies. We're going to ensure that the majority of the recent graduates profiled in the student experience sections of the web pages for each programme are female. We will ensure that female students or graduates are featured prominently in other publicity material we produce. Regardless of the route by which potential applicants reach our teaching and learning web pages, the divisional Women in Science link is prominently displayed in the sidebar. So, I don't really think they're looking very carefully at what the need is. Here's a nice quote I found, okay? You've got a department where they're saying the female turnover for the past 3 years has been 2.9%. The male turnover has been 10.1%. But we're going to routinely gather information on why female PhD students and research staff leave the department and ascertain whether lack of support and encouragement played any part in their decision.